So I think we have taken 6.
361.
Taken.
362.
So we saw that the morning vasus, the yajna done in the early stages gain the benefit to those devatas in us and attain the results of the vigor as well as the enthusiasm, liveliness, eatables of the food, strength, perceiving objects, etc. and gains the strength of the yajna in the status by drashtva tripyante. It's not by consuming them, but by drashtva, by seeing it. That explanation we have already given. So this is done based on the Rig Veda. Morning is that Rig Veda. So Bhagavan says further in the second shloka, Ta etadeva rupam abhisamvishantiye tasmad rupadutyandi. Etadeva rupam abhisamvisham. They retire into that appearance, avishyanti, tasmad, rupad, udyanti. Udyanti means again, from the appearance they emerge again, udyanti coming up. In that rupam they emerge and in that, from that rupam they come up. We have already explained that what does it mean actually that consuming means it is drashtva tripyante. That the devatas in us which is functioning through the dharma, they receive these benefits of the yajna. Yajna is that those which are renounced, oblations is it. Oblations are nothing but renounced. So in a human, the devata is in us only. Enjoyment of the yajna is done by the devatas in us. In the sense the devatas outside, devatas inside, everything is same. There is no difference. So devatas are those which are functioning through the dharmic patha, where there is no sharira and mana and indriyas are not there. The ones who has got sharira, mana, indriyas, they function materialistically. The one functions without having the attachment to these organs or these instruments, function at a different level. So even if for appearance there may be a body, mind and indriyas for some, but they are not utilizing that body, indriya, mana for the purpose of the upliftment and enjoyment of the self. They are the punyatmas, maharishis, tapasvis, great tapasvis. They do not use these instruments for the purpose of enjoyment. Such divyatmas, they are the devatas in them. They by drashtva drupyante, they do not consume them. That is why it is known as the yajna. Representative, picturization is called the yajna. Because in yajna everything is burned. It is not. Nobody consumes it for a purpose of anything. It is consumed, but it is burnt. And it is vibhuti. It becomes vibhuti. So what happens? It is only that, like the flavor we enjoy, like the scene we enjoy, the like beauty we enjoy, like only the taste we enjoy, or Shravana we enjoy, not like that. These are all enjoyments, these are all food, they are all consuming. Who is consuming them? Like that, Drishtu Atrupyanti, that which has been renounced, also being enjoyed by the Devatas in us, who grow by that. In fact, how do we grow? Our body only grows with the food. The growth of ours is nothing to do with Annam. They are all by studies, by seeing, by listening, by smelling, by touching, by the Panchendriyas, by the mind, by the Antaratma. What are they? That is how we uplift ourselves. Our improvement takes place through that. Annam is only to keep the body intact. Even if the Annam is not there, the Indriyas will function, mind will function. Body becomes weak, yes. The power of thinking reduces because the mind is there. Now the power has to be brought either through the Annam, so that's why the Annam has to be taken. For a normal person, Annam has to be taken. Otherwise the body strength cannot be retained. If the body strength is not retained, the mind will not function, Indriyas will not function. So these enjoyments cannot take place. One is weak and then tired and sleeping. If the Veda mantras are chanted in his ears, what benefit he gets? No, he doesn't take it in, you see. So to energize them, we are taking Annam. That's why the Annam has been created. That is necessary for those people who are utilizing the body, and Indriyas are the instruments. We are dependent on that. There is a dependency and we have to do that. So for that purpose we are keeping the body. The body's purpose is only that. Body's purpose is only to make the Indriyas and mind function, that's all. But your growth, in the sense, you are growing from the present status to next status, is called the growth. Growth is not becoming tall, becoming fat, becoming old. Is not growth. Vayo Vruddha, Vardhakyam, there are 4 types of Vardhakyam, I have already told you earlier. So this Vardhakyam has to come. Vardhakyam is what? Vruddhata. Jnana Vruddhata has to come. Vardhakyam in the Jnanam has to come. How can that be attained? Through the Tapaha. How the Tapa can come? By the Jnanam. How the Jnanam can be perceived? Through these Indriyas. So for making the Indriyas and mind function only, the purpose of physical body is not for anything else. It is not meant for clothing, it is not meant for beautification, it is not meant for presentation, it is not meant for any other things. It is meant only for the purpose of the mind and Indriyas, to keep them functioning properly, that's all. To that extent only we require the body. Since it is being there, well, we have to keep it up, even to keeping up the body, cleaning the body is also meant for keeping the Indriyas and mind function properly, so that the physical body doesn't decay, doesn't get damaged during the process of function of that, so that our Indriyas and mind should function. So please understand that. That is why Maharishis, Tapasvis and Jnanis said that the body is not important. Sharira is not important, they said. It doesn't mean that you have to neglect the body. You have to take care of the body only to that extent your Indriyas and mana functions properly. That is why Annam should be consumed, or Annam should be taken only to that extent when the body and mind has to be preserved properly. And Annam should be taken to that extent that the mind and Indriyas should be functioning properly. Neither too low, nor too high, nor too less, nor too much of Annam is necessary for the body. There has to be a limit in order to create that function of the body for the purpose of Indriyas and mana to function, mind to function, mind in the sense yes. Medical science doesn't approve of the mind. There is nothing called mind in the medical science. They said only no. Medical science goes only by the physical body parts which can be seen and proved, but it is functioning. But of late, last month, if I remember correct, I have read in one of the articles of the medical approved journals that in researchers in United States as well as Canada, they have found out and also incorporated the word mind in medical science. So long in medical science the word mind was not incorporated, but today it is incorporated, mind. Now, gradually one thing comes, what is that mind? Mana, an abstract. How the ear functions, how the fragrance functions, how the fragrance makes you happy. Who is becoming happy by the fragrance? Is it the brain? Then how you get the happiness? This is how the research probably might have been done. It is too late, I would say. Our Maharishis have invented it thousands of years ago. And today they have struggled and found out how to incorporate mind into medical science. Because they are working on the physical planes, that's all. It doesn't mean that everything is happening only through physical plane. You see, physical plane is only creating a chemical reaction and functions and creating certain results in the physical body. It's true. But mind has been incorporated. Like as I said, how do you get happiness by getting a fragrance? How do you get happiness by listening a sound? How do you get happiness by, leave aside seeing or listening or smelling or touching? I am telling my own example. After reading the Upanishad, when you derive certain truths and certain revelation through the meditation and tapasya happens, certain things, it automatically comes. It is neither learned nor read nor heard. We have never heard certain things, but it all reveals. And through the Upanishad, we derive certain truths. It comes out. I become very happy inside. What is that happiness? It's not that jumping and dancing. It is not that you cannot explain that happiness. That happens inside. How does this happen? From where? Neither from the words, nor from the meaning, nor from what I heard, not from what I seen, but something has derived some truth from within, has created some ecstasy inside me, which is not explainable, not expressible. That ecstasy neither can be expressed nor can be explained. It's a perception, you see. It has been absorbed like a foam absorbing the water in that. You cannot see the water, but it absorbs that. When you squeeze it out, then only you get the water. Otherwise, you do not know where the water has gone. It has absorbed. The foam has absorbed it. In the same way, this absorbs it, and then you do not know what is that ecstasy. How can be expressed? How can be explained? Inexplainable, inexpressible, invisible. Is that ecstasy happens? How is it happening? From where it is happening? Is it in the brain that is happening? Is it in the physical body that is happening? No. Where? That is called mind. From where it happens. There the initiation of everything happens from there. When that happens, then the brain functions or the nervous system functions. After that, it's a much later stage of the activity. It's called the Sharira. So today, even of course people are trying to locate that, but they have our Maharishis and Tapasvis and Jnanis thousands of years ago through the Shrutis, 10,000, few thousands of years. through the Shruti they derived the mind. Why did I say that? Is because etadeva rupam, the rupam, that what is being oblated in the Yajna Kunda, it's symbolic. Yajna Kunda is symbolic. It is in the Treta Yuga this Yajna have been started. Satya Yuga there was no Yajna, nothing. It was Treta Yuga that has started the Yajna has started. Why? Because it's because of the Brahmanas, the Vedic chapters. When it has come into Vedanga, then comes to the Brahmanas. When it comes to the Brahmanas, they did this oblations, and from there the appearance and disappearance takes place, and enjoyment and whatever happens to the mind, it takes place, and derivation of the results takes place from that. Is called the Brahmanam. In that era, the yajnas have been done. So yajna is that oblating. Representation of oblation is nothing but in the Vaishvanara, in us, we surrender, we do the samarpana, we do the oblation to ourselves inside us, we do the renunciation to ourselves, we do the renunciation of my body to nowhere else. It can be inside my Vaishvanara, inside that. It's called an oblation, it's called a yajna. He is in the yajna tapasya, you see. In the tapo status, tapasvi for that matter, he doesn't do any yajna. A Maharishi in the forest, when he is doing tapasya, where does he do the yajna? Is it necessary? It is not absolutely necessary. But it's a path, one of the paths of the Veda, absolutely gaining the results of the Vedic jnanam. So it has been divided into various functions depending upon the activities of the human being, is how this has been divided. So the oblation is that it is the yajna, is that not, it is not necessary that it has to be physically done, but physical doing has got an importance in the Treta Yuga, when this Brahmanas of the Vedic science has been converted and written on the stages where the yajna has to be done. In the yajna, when we are oblating these results, there are certain materials, panchadravyas being offered. Each dravya has got a representation of the body actually. Body, not only body, our thought, our karma, our mind, our function, and our physical body and physical system is being oblated. In each of the dravya is that, like grina, like ghritam, like ghee, what you call it as ghritam. Now this is the result of from the milk, where the cow, where the animal is there, where the jiva is there. From that jiva, the product that he has taken, the annam, and based on the function that has taken place through the cow, through that animal, a result of the karma that has been done, annam, pachante annam, that means the digestion of the annam that has taken place in the cow, the leaves and the grass and things like that what it has eaten, it has become in the process, when it is passing through the process of this animal, who is a pious animal, whose thoughts are absolutely, many of us think that the animal doesn't have thoughts. They have thoughts. Not like us, but they have their own thoughts. It's not that they don't have a mind, it doesn't function, it is functioning. Otherwise, how is it listening to us, how it is working, how it is functioning of their own duties, how they are doing all these things? They have, but not like ours. It has got difference. For their purpose, whatever is necessary, that they have got. How do they love its own calf? How does it know where to go, where to know? He knows the master. Where you are growing, suppose you are keeping the cow, it very well recognizes the master. When it brings there, it starts, talking to you, crying, or whatever it is. Everything is there. So these all there, it is in them also. So what happens? Cow has been identified as a very pious animal whose thoughts are purified. It doesn't have any negative thoughts. The killing instincts are there. Are different animals are divided into different parts. Even though they are not intentionally killing anyone, even though the animals who are killing other animals and eating also, they are not killing like human beings are killing. they don't know what is killing actually. They are surviving. They are, for their survival, for them to eat the annam. That is the annam for them. So they are doing it. There is no sin for them in that, as far as they are concerned. So cow, through the cow, that which is the process which is going on. Look at that various kinds of the grass and the leaves that is being eaten by the cow. When it has been processed through the cow, when it came, the result of that, when it came as a milk, it's highly medicated. See, drinking of that milk, you have got calcium, you have got various other things, you have got fat, you have got many other things that you are deriving out of it. From where it has come? From the byproduct of these grass and other things. If you eat grass and then the leaves, can you produce milk? No, if one is arguing, okay, if grass and leaves, if it is eaten, it can be produced milk. No, it's not a very big thing. You eat, produce milk. Let us see. It's not possible. It's only cow can do it, or that cow, particular animal can do it. No other animal can do it. It only can do it, you see. So a medicated leaf is eaten by the cow. Cow being pious, it is not only a mechanical instrument that it is functioning to make the milk. It has got also certain other inputs there. That's how it becomes medication. You see, that's how it becomes milk. Why not water? You see, it's milk. Now, that milk has got from where it has come, how it has been produced, how this has been extracted from these materials of leafy vegetables and things like that, or whatever it is eating. From that only, it doesn't eat anything else other than only these grass and leaves, nothing other than that. So from these leaves and grass only, the most most important food particle of human being is produced by that, or any animal, or the cows, it is being produced, the milk. That processed milk, it is absolutely processed. There is no ingredient, there is nothing that which has to be rejected from the milk. Is there anything to be rejected from the milk? No. See how beautifully from those leaves and the other thing, medicated leaf, they're all medicated. Each and every leaf, each and every vegetable is a medicine. Please remember one thing. The design of the vegetarians, the vegetables have been so designed. Each and every vegetable is a medicine. Actually, you are not eating food. We are consuming medicine for our body to keep ourselves alive. In each and every vegetable, in each and every leaf, the value of that is a medicine actually. Is it not? What are you eating actually? You are eating medicine only. Why we call something else as a medicine? Why not this as a medicine? No. This is the medicine. Then if this is a medicine, like a cow eating that leaf and creating the milk which is absolutely nutritious, even for a newborn baby, if you give little milk, that is the most important thing for that. No, it can be given. There is no restriction. That's why cow has been identified as a devata for us. Hinduism has declared cow as a devata. What is devata? People misunderstand. Devata means that which has to be worshipped. Absolutely right. Not the worship that what they are seeing. That now making the cow stand somewhere, bathing it and put a tilak on that, put a mala of the flower and putting few flowers in front of it, or is not the worship. That is not what Shastras have told. Please remember, words are absolutely right. It has to be worshipped, absolutely right. Why? Because cow is the only one that can produce that medicine. Without any problem, you are not to do anything. Put some grass and put some leaves for that. Tomorrow morning you go and take the milk from the cow, the medicine is ready for you. How many machines will you require? Could you make a machine? We are talking about science. If the science can, improved science, we will give them enough grass and leaves. Ask them to produce milk. Why? Is there a machine which can make milk? We are talking so big. We need a cow. Can you have a replacement for the cow? Can you make another animal to eat it? Let monkey eat the grass and produce milk. Can you make it? Then why? What is that? I hope you are getting me what I am trying to tell you. See. You got my point. See. The creation has got much, much, much advanced than what we are thinking as limited body alone. So what I am saying is that what we are eating is medicine for the body. And each and every Jivatma has got a physical body for the purpose of execution of its karma only. It cannot make another karma. Like human being cannot produce milk like a cow, and a cow cannot do the jobs as the human. Cow has to produce milk and the human has to do certain karmas. Each and every one has to execute their karma dharmically in the right way. There cannot be any deviation. You got it? Here when it comes to the human being, because we have been given more liberty than the some other jivatmas, we think we can do anything, that we can violate anything that we think we require. No others are violating things. So those which are not supposed to violate. Suppose tomorrow, think about it, a cow thinks of violating the rule, and instead of milk it produces poison. Think. If it was given to a human being this chance, he will produce poison. Is it not? Cow has been created with absolutely a timid animal. That's why the human being can keep it at home. It has got the amount of great patience. The animal, you derive, see, I'm deviating from the subject only, not deviating actually, in order to reaffirm what is called a sharira, what is called the indriya, and how the enjoyment is not done by the sharira, but enjoyment is done by the mind, is the subject I am talking. But in that we have to go into depth. See, if I don't go into deeper meaning of the sharira, we always think it is the sharira which requires the enjoyment. And 99% of the people are functioning in this world only for the happiness of the sharira. There is a word in Sanskrit, and then the same word has been taken care by the other languages. Like if you talk in Hindi, swasthya kaisa hai? Swasthata, swasthya is what? Swasthya is a Sanskrit word. What is swasthya? What do they normally? What do people think? How is your body? Is it not? Oh, fever है आज तो थोड़ा सा टेम्परेचर लग रहा है. स्वास्थ्य कैसा है? लगता है थोड़ा सा फीवर है. Whom are you representing to? Who are you addressing to? Sharira. What is the meaning of swasthya?
Health, body and mind.
Swasthata. No, it's not health. Swasthata, swasthya means swasthata. Swasthata is for whom? Swa-astitvam. Swa-astitva is swastha. Swasthata. Swasthata means shantata. Swastham, shantam. Swasthata. Swasthata means shantata actually. स्वस्थ, थोड़ा सा स्वास्थ्य चाहिए, मतलब शांतता चाहिए. स्वास्थ्य means that again when you convert, okay, if it is in English, if it is health, the health of mind, it's not health of sharira. Swasthata, that means peace. Swasthata means absolutely shantata. Swasthata means absolutely swa-astitva. retention of the self of me is called swasthata. It's the true meaning of swastha. Swastha. Swashantam, swastham, shantam. Swastham. To be within oneself is also swasthata, swastham. That's also swasthata. Now what happened? Where are the meanings gone? We are using that swasthata, even though that swasthata is meant for the inner self of me and the mana, but I am utilizing, borrowing that for the purpose of the sharira. Why? Because that is my choice. I have violated the rule. You should have asked that how is your body, how is your sharira? Why you are asking swasthya kaisa hai? Swasthya kaisa hai means it has been to be in totality. I am perfectly okay. When do you perfectly okay? When the mind is okay, when the understanding is perfect, swasthya theek hai, sharir bhi theek hai. Happiness. There is no dukkha, there is no kashta, there is no problem, there is nothing. Sharira is shanta, and you are on the meditative state. There is no virodha in the sharira. There is no enmity in the body. There is no attraction. There is no attachment, and the mind is swastha, non-agitative. It's called swasthata. Swasthya kaisa hai? Can anybody answer that? Can anybody say yes, my swastha is right? It's swastha. Why do I say that? It's because we are only considering, even though it is meant for something else, we are considering it only for the sharira. That's all. External body. As I told you, external body has importance to that extent. It's a cover, it has to have a cover. We should have that. Intestines are there and other organs are there. It needs a protection, it needs a cover so that it can function. So we have got the flesh on top of it. Then we have got a line of skin, then number of layers of skin and things like that to protect it so that it functions properly. It's only a protection. Is it for beautification? It's only a protection. It's only a shell to protect the internal organs function. How the internal organs function? How the digestive system functions, how the heart functions, which machine is there, which motor is there, which petrol is there, which fuel is there, which energy is there, how that. A man who has not eaten for 1 month also, his heart functions. Is it the annam that is doing it? It's not. But annam is the one which is taking care of it. So annam is necessary in order to take care of it. And if there are excesses in the body, it gets agitated. When the agitation in the physical body takes place, then the agitation of the indriyas takes place. When agitation of indriyas takes place, the mind is also getting agitated. And the reverse way also. It is in the other way around also. When the mind is agitated, indriyas agitates and the sharira gets agitated. It's both ways. It goes on both ways. So mostly what happens, when the mind is stable, when the mind can understand, when the mind is directed in the right manner, when the mind can control the indriyas in the right manner, then the sharira will automatically be controlled. It's the principle and it's the truth. That's all. It's the mind who is the controller. So the mind is the one who says that I am hungry. Mind is the one who says I am thirsty. Mind is the one who says I need annam or I need something else, I need something else. So if the mind is directed to the Atma, if the mind is directed to the Jnanam, and mind gains that Jnanam, and when the mind functions as a representative of the Atma, who is only one reflecting the Jnanam to the mind will function as a Jnanam, Indriyas will function as a Jnanam, automatically the Sharira will become a protective layer or an instrument for the purpose of retention of Jnanam in one. That's all. When it functions as a retainer, as a Jnanam, it doesn't want any pleasures by itself, it doesn't want any growth for itself, it will function for the purpose of the growth of the inner self of me. My Sharira should function for the growth of my Antaratma, then my Sharira is supporting me. If my Sharira is negating the growth of my antaratma, my jnanam. It is obstructing to absorb the jnanam. If it is obstructing to create the path of the jnanam, if it is functioning for the purpose of deviating from the principles of the antaratma's jnanam, the sharira is an obstacle for the growth. They grow old by age, but they don't grow old by jnanam. So the growth is only for the sharira, for external. The growth should be internal. Anything should grow internally, then only it grows big. The ones which are growing externally will get destroyed. A football, when it is blown beyond certain limit, explodes and finishes off because it expands externally. A balloon, when it is blown, is externally it is growing, so it blows off. See? Whereas a tree grows internally, the outer skin goes off. When it goes internally, it grows big and it becomes big. The growth should be internal. Now, what is the relationship, what I am talking, and what is the purpose of this? Is that, so for the purpose of first of all, the growth means it is for the mind being directed towards the antaratma and the jnana. That is why the mind is the one who is an enjoyer. The mind is the one who should be directing, as I told you. That's why medical science probably have thought of this, because there are so many things which cannot be established by medical science, because we function basically on the instrument which is only a small external cover shell of our self, which is the physical body. They are all based on the chemical reactions. So they are trying to retain the body with those setting up of chemical reactions is the medical science. We all know that. But the medicine, what I am trying to tell here is that the annam that is taken by us is all our medicines. In the universe, whatever vegetables, whatever leaves, whatever grass and whatever other things are there, whatever is grown, they are all medicines. That is why vegetarianism is very much healthy and absolutely has been proclaimed as healthy. Why? Because each one is a medicine. That's why you are eating so many things. Oh, in this season I must eat Karela. This season changes, so you must eat that flower. Something comes in that. When you change this, what is that? Neemka. That flower, Neemka patta and things like that. But they are all medicines. It's not. When you eat that, those medication takes place. That once in a year only you eat. You see how powerful it is. Or twice in a year or thrice in a year. Certain things we take only that. And certain things we have to take every day. And each and everything is only medicine. See, we are adding so many things and making it tasty to take it. That's okay. Cough syrup is actually bitter. So they have added sugar so that it will taste better, then only people will take it. Otherwise, the original cough syrup which is supposed to be there is really bitter. So nobody can take it. Similarly, the vegetables that what we are eating, we are making it palatable to taste our tongue. Doesn't matter. It's okay, perfectly alright. But you take the medicine. Even if you put along with that, you see. So people say that no, in Ayurveda, they will give very bitter medicines are there. Some powder and things like that. So they will say, you keep the honey nearby you, put this one inside, take the honey and lick it. It is not a medicine. Honey is not a medicine there. What happened? This medicine has to go in. So the masalas what you are adding into your vegetable is only that honey licking, that's all. It's not. But otherwise what is that vegetable? Vegetable is a medicine. We are calling it as vegetable, that's all. Actually you should call it as medicine. Each one is a medicated tree, plant and things like that. That is why that benefits that is there in vegetarianism is not there in non-vegetarian. Why? Because what you are eating is nothing but fiber and fat and proteins. These are the benefits that you derive when you have meat eating. I think mostly. I mean, in a bigger spectrum, maybe some more small things are there. But basically, these are the three things that what you are getting. Nothing other than this. And it cannot be acting as a medicine. It's only that protein is there, fat is there, and the fiber is there. This is exactly what you are consuming. But whereas the same thing when it is put into the vegetables, there are so much of medication which is available. Where here it is not there. It is okay. Where there are cold countries where there is nothing available, naturally they have to use certain proteins are necessary because they have to burn calories. So fat is necessary, they have to burn calories. So they started meat eating. That's how the meat eating has come. Well, when you have a provision, when you have a facility, when you have a tropical nature of the climatical conditions, and where these things are not necessary, vegetarianism has been advised. Why? Because it is not only filling your stomach and fulfilling the hunger. The medicines you are taking, the intake of that is the medicines. When you are taking these medicines proportionately, in the right proportions, in the right manner, for the right quantity, the physical body will not become an obstacle for the growth of the thought. It's got a great principle behind it. See, it doesn't become an hindrance for the purpose of the thought of the mind. So that is why people said, like annam, like manam. Like the food, like the mind. Anna jaisa man. So there is a saying. It's because of that. Not that no, you eat sweet, your mind will become sweet. No. It can be just opposite. Jaisa anna vaisa man, okay, from tomorrow, rasagulla only. Let the mind be very sweet, people will all like it. No, absolutely no, it's not like that. Jaisa anna means not that, no, the annam should be not that according to your own whims and whimsical fancies. No. This I don't like, that I don't like, no. All those things, whatever has been prescribed, starting from Karela to ending with whatever it is, carrots and beetroots and Kela, this, that, no. Each one has to be taken to certain quantity in a duration of few months' time. It's not necessary that every day we have to eat all the vegetables. It's not necessary. We require only small quantities. No? That's why it is seasonal. You see, in that, suppose there is heat, in that heat only certain vegetables grow. Because that is what is required for you during that heat. In the cold, certain other vegetables grow. That is what is required for you in that. The nature has already divided. You are not created. Certain things which grow in winter, whatever you try, put air conditioner and make a room for that and grow it. Make that climate 20 degrees or 15 degrees, it will not grow. Will it? It won't. There's a discipline there, you see. There's a nature's discipline there. This discipline, as that plant and trees are growing only and fruiting only in those seasonal conditions, even though you manually or artificially create that season, you cannot make it. Same way, our sharira should be naturally be producing and growing, not artificially on the other way around. In the sense, when the sharira is being maintained based on that, it will not become an obstacle to that. When that sharira doesn't become an obstacle, it synchronizes its peace or non-agitative status. Mind, the body should be non-agitative and body will be non-agitative when the mind is non-agitative. And when the mind is non-agitative and the body is non-agitative, both synchronizes itself and creates that peace, harmony in that. When that harmony is created, the products that you take in can be converted into high medicinal valuable things from you. Is how a cow producing milk is what I am trying to tell you. A cow's physical body is highly synchronized with the mechanical system of the cow's physical body is highly synchronized with the mind of the cow, which is absolutely pious and non-agitative. When these are synchronized, automatically what happens? This conversion takes place into the milk only due to the function of the mind, piousness or the calmness and the calmness of the mind and the piousness of the mind and orientation of the mind towards absolute peace, because it's a peace-loving animal. Absolute peace, the annam that is consumed, otherwise the digestive system, the animal of that and some other animal may be same. The length of the intestines and the diameter of the stomach and the diameter of the liver, and when you measure up that, there may be a lot of similarities with animals. So a physical mechanical system cannot produce milk is what I am trying to tell you. If that was the case, today human being would have created machines and produced milk. Is it not? Like we are taking out juice. Maximum what we can take is that juice from that. Grinding out of that, whatever comes out of it, we take it as a juice, that's all. But this juice is converted into milk. Totally different. With all the values, okay, the values are there in the annam, we can say, okay. Ingredients are not added by the cow. Ingredients are there in that. But when it is converted in the form of milk, the color also has been given. From where the color has come? The grass is green, leaves are green, or other colors. It has eaten. How the color white has come? The color of calcium is white, of course. That may be the reason why it is white. But how? From where it has come? How this has happened? Now they are all wonders, I tell you. Now nobody has thought of. People might have tried to research on that. But they could not. That's why they are unable to do it. So what I am trying to tell you is that ultimately, that like a cow creating milk, because there is a synchronization, there are lots of input from the Antaratma. There are lots of input from the Atma. There are a lot of input from the mind, and the Indriyas are necessary to the body, physical body. And when that input is absolutely pure and absolutely for that particular purpose, is absolutely shantam. Like I'm just taking an example of cow only. Like it is peaceful. It has no thought of disturbing anyone. Non-agitative, peaceful, quiet. It requires only whatever it has to fill its stomach, so much of food. It won't eat more than that what is required. That much of grass, that much of water, that consumes, and quiet, sleeping without any disturbance. Neither want to disturb, not want to get disturbed. The mind is absolutely at peace. That status of mind only can transmit these vibrations to the food and create these values, even though the digestion is taken place, create the values to the milk. And you see, it's not from the digestive system, it comes in a different system altogether. It's not as a blood, it is from different system again, and converted into the form of milk. With all this process, you are getting the milk. The body was not important to cow. Is the body important to cow? It has not been important. It's not the function of the body that was important. The function of the mind was important, because the digestive system is same for a cow and for a tiger, for a monkey and for any other animal or a human being. Digestive function is same. Digestive system is same. I mean, in the sense, the sizes are different, but otherwise principally everything is same. Then how it is milk? How the milk comes? It's based on, again, it has got great influence. Our mind has got great influence in that. You eat most healthy food. For some it doesn't suit. What do you mean by it doesn't suit? What's the meaning of not suiting? Good food not suiting. Bad food suiting. Synchronization of the thought. This is absolutely necessary. So, first of all, annam is taken as a medicine, because they are all medicine only. Whether you You accept it, don't accept it, doesn't make any difference, because every vegetable, every leaf is a medicine. That medicine is taken in you. That medicine is digested not only by mechanically digesting. If you have got the thought process beautiful, like bhakti is there, shraddha is there, jnanam is there, knowledge is there, his digestion will be based on that also, along with that. The result of the food digested by that jnanam, result of that food digested by that bhakti bhava, it has got totally different impact in the mind and body, is why Jaisa Anna Vaisaman they said. It has got a different impact on the physical body as well as the mind. A jnani eating a banana and an ajnani eating a banana, like in the science, it is same for them, because it goes into the stomach, it digests and it creates this and it comes out. But when you ask a sannyasi, what is the difference between a sannyasi eating a banana and a normal man eating banana, that banana becomes absolute food for him. We call it as prasad. Why we call certain things as prasad? You understood? What is prasad? What is khana? You are offering bhog and you are getting prasad. Both are same. There is no difference. Bhog is offered, prasad is taken. What is that? What do you mean by that? In the sense, after puja, it has got certain energy there, certain changes in the energy field has taken place, so it becomes the prasada. Same way, if I am taking that food, if I have got bhakti in me, the food that I have taken is not bhog, it is prasadam. I am the one who is converting that food into prasadam, is it not? Are you getting it? You see? Very important subject. You see? We never thought of it. It's maybe a simple process, eating. It is not a simple process, eating. Eating is highly spiritual. That's why I always tell people, each and every activity of our life has to be spiritual and is spiritual. We don't have to identify them separately, is why Maharishis have never mentioned earlier in Upanishads and Vedas, be a spiritual man or walk in the spirituality. Where it is written? He has only written, walk in the path of dharmam. That's all. What is dharmam? Dharmam is this. You are doing justice to the annam. Annam is produced as medicine by the nature, by Prakriti. Who is Prakriti? God. Annam is produced like that. When annam is produced by the Prakriti as a medicine for you, when you take that medicine inside you, don't you think that you should honor that auspiciousness of the medicine that has been created, annam that has been created by the Prakriti Ishvara himself? When you create that auspiciousness in you, automatically when your mind has got full of jnanam, bhakti, shraddha, everything, this becomes prasadam. When it becomes prasada for you, automatically what happens? Even small quantity of food becomes fulfilling for your sharira, and the antaratma and the mind. Mind will be non-agitative, indriyas will be non-agitative, mind gets the result. Automatically what happens? Your mind will get the directions for the function of non-agitative execution of karmas because of this medicine. Because of non-agitative function of karmas is being done by the mind, indriyas will get the same non-agitative function of the karma. Automatically the results received by the indriya to the mana, and from the mana to the antaratma, antakarana, from antakarana to the atma, automatically will become non-agitative. When it is non-agitative, it is fulfilling. If it is fulfilling, it is non-receiving the results. That means we are not enjoying the karma ala. We are exhausting the karma. Oh, this happens. This is why somebody is telling, why am I not able to do that properly? Because You are not properly thinking. You are not properly directing your mind towards that thought. When you have got disturbance in your mind, when you have got fear in you, everything is fearful. When you have got fear in you, when you have got problem in you, when you have got that agitation in you, you should remember you are very, very far away from the truth. We call it as Ishvara, God. You are far away from the God. You are far away from the truth, which is called the God, which is called Ishvara, which is called the Jnanam. We are far away from the Jnanam. What is that? Fear is because of Ajnanam. Or agitation is because of Ajnanam. So you are far away from that. Try to go closer to it. Have faith towards that. Strongly walk that foot towards that. When you create this agitation in the mind, by one way or other, it goes away from the Jnanam. It goes away from the God. When it goes away from the Jnanam, from the God, automatically you are surrounded by Ajnanam, which is known as the fear. Ajnanam, which is known as many other things, including fear. Now, so the oblation. Now, when I said that, so this is how the physical synchronization of the physical body and mind, which makes you function. That is why the physical body means mind also is physical body, because mind is there only when body is there. It has to be very much linked with the body only. Yes. It has to be there. So what happens? The mind will function only when we are synchronizing everything nicely. Now this requires jnanam. The mind has to be oriented towards the jnanam. Is why Upanishadic teaching, dharmic teachings. Dharmam is this. This is dharmam. So when dharmam is what? Dharmam functioning without any non-attraction, non-attachment, non-desire, it's called dharmam. That's all. That's called function of dharma. Now in order to have that dharmam, you have to have the jnanam. The jnanam has to be experienced. So when you listen to, as I told you, when you listen to Upanishad, when you have that ecstasy in you, when we do not know from where it comes, that ecstasy which we do not know from where it comes is coming from the Atma. That he is the enjoyer of these things, you see. When it comes from the Atma, automatically what happens? The mind and the Indriyas as well as the Antakarana, everything becomes one unit. Because it doesn't have any differences. Why I am dividing them is because their functions are different, so we are dividing them. When their functions become one, they are all becoming one unit. Everywhere you go, it will find the bhakti. You go to Indriya, there will be bhakti, mana, bhakti, antakarana, bhakti, atma, bhakti. So it's all one function, just for example I am telling. So there should be one function. That means the synchronization is proper, so that the execution and exhausting karmas become much better. Is how the annam is controlling this. Is how the milk is produced from the cow. Or the same way, in us what happens? The growth inside us, the jnanam inside us, the growing of the jnanam inside us takes place when our mind and the indriyas function in this manner. So to make it function, you have to medicate yourself. Sharira has to be medicated. These medicines have to be taken in the right quantities, right time. All the medicines are necessary. Sometime or other you have to have all the medicines. Certain things are once in a year only. Certain things are twice in a year. Certain things in every season. See, there are various things, you all know it very well. So we eat like that. And those principles have been laid out from the ancient days, the old days. If we follow that principle, you will find absolutely okay. Certain days or evening food, after 6 o'clock, after 7 o'clock you should not eat. Before 7 o'clock you should finish your dinner. Then sleep after 2 hours. By 9 o'clock you should go to the bed. These are the principles laid out earlier, you see. And if we really follow those principles, you will find it's absolutely okay. There's no problem. See, there are certain timings have been mentioned, certain type of food has been mentioned. Night, you should not take certain things. Old days, you see, when you think of your house, I still remember certain things. Those oily food. Puris are never made in the night in our houses, earlier days. No, the roots, like aloo and things like that. No dal should be made. There should be very simple food in the night. And it is filling as well as it is easily digestible food in the night. And that also you should take by 7 o'clock. You take it, and to give within 1 hour, 1.5 hours, digestion is proper, sleep is better, there is no insomnia, there is no problem, there is no dream. We get enough sleep, good sleep, get up early morning at 4. Absolutely healthy. Now what happens? You are synchronizing your body, medicating your body, and the medicated body, actually you can understand. We go for medications only for 1 month, okay. 1 month we go to Arya Vaidyashala, Ayurvedic, massage center. So during that period of time, you spend 50,000, 70,000, 80,000 rupees, and they will give you that gruel made out of ragi and all that, very happily taking without any problem. And 1 month, with all that restricted food and that little bit of oil massage and taken, and with the discipline, get up morning, sleep in the evening according, because it is in that Vaidyashala. When you come back, everybody says, oh, you are glowing, you are perfectly okay, you are feeling fit, your body is light. Within 1 week's time, the lightness will become tightness. The light has become tight, the glow has become log. Reverse, everything has to. Proof, I'm just even though jokingly said, is it not? 1 month you found out the result, but then we reverse, no, how that is not possible. That only in that, for that Vaidyan, he has to take care of me, not for me. Once in a year I will come to you, no problem. Sharira. Oblation of the. So what happens? Now here in the Upanishadic way, when we are teaching, why did I tell you all this? That yajna, in the Brahmanas, yajna has to be done. In the Brahmana means the division of the Vedas. I mean, not division, another form of Veda. So those Treta Yuga, the yajnas were done. Symbolically, the oblation has to be done, representing, like Gridam. I started with that Gridam. Yes. Milk that is produced like this, a cow like that, with that function of the mind and body of a particular unit, has created that milk, medicated milk. From that, we developed certain things. We fermented it and made it as curds. From the curd, we churned it and created butter out of it. Now from the butter we created the Gridam, ghee out of it. That I am oblating. You understood? Representing Gridam is only used as the ghee is only used for the Yajna Kunda. So now, what is to be oblated? The oblation has to be done here in me, how I should oblate myself to the God, to the Jnani, to the Guru, to the God, to the Jnanam, to that Bhakti, how it is to be oblated. Like the milk, with a peaceful mind, with a peaceful body, with a synchronized or non-agitative mind and indriyas, when I have taken the annam. Annam is what? The annam of the jnanam. That I have taken when my mind, my indriyas, my sharira is non-agitative, and have consumed it. After consuming it, absorbing it, I have created milk, like milk. What is that? The product of that within me. The result after taking that jnanam inside me has become like that, absolutely a combination of medicines of milk, which is a result. That milk, creation of milk means here my execution of karmas through the right manner. What is that, creating milk? Creating milk means creating the result from the annam that has been taken. Same way, creating the result from the jnanam that I have taken inside. It's annam. The jnanam that I have taken inside, I execute my karmas, exhausted them whatever possible, and did it dharmically, and that result of dharmic execution of karmas have created dharmic results out of it. There is a result for everything. A dharmic result has been created. That within me has come. I have fermented it and churned it and boiled it and created the gist of that rasa of that karma phala inside me. All the milk has been boiled, churned, and then created butter and then burnt and made the gridam. All my karma phalas that I have taken in have been churned and created the gridam, burned it and boiled it, so that nothing is left. And that result of it, I totally oblate in the Vaishwanaka fire. Is the representation of the ghee being poured into the fire, means I have to oblate that inside my. That means I do not keep anything. Not milk alone. If I pour milk alone, it can create something else in that Vaishwanam, in that temperature. So what happened? I have done a split up of the milk to the extent possible. Now beyond the ghee, nothing can be made out of it. Same way, with the jnanam, to the extent possible, I have exploited and I executed my karmas and created the karma phala. That jnanam, that karma phala, I oblate at the Vaishwanara, at the feet of the Lord. Is why the representative ghee being poured into the Agni. This is called the submission. This is why it is known as the oblation. That is why the tapasvi, he doesn't do physically this. While we are doing it physically, naturally what happens? We start thinking, why am I doing it? Naturally your jnana will go into that and starts understanding, why am I doing it? Now if I know why am I doing it, earlier itself, I can do it within me by that. So a tapasvi does that. That is why Aranyakam doesn't prescribe any yajna. Aranyakam prescribes only tapa. So in the tapa, what happens? That's also Veda. Same Veda. So in the tapa, what happens? I am oblating everything. See, the capacity has increased. I am oblating everything. If I can do that, there is no outside, external yajna is not necessary. This is called oblation. This is called yajna kunda. This is what is necessary. Why I said all this is that the Edadeva Rupam, they retire into the very appearance. From this appearance, they emerge. Is the shloka that what you? I have already read the shloka. Yes, I think so. No. The shloka says, "Ta etadeva rupam abhisamvishanti tasmat rupat dudhyanti." In that etadeva, they retire into the very appearance of it, and then from this appearance they emerge. Here, okay. You have to switch on again, I think. Continuing. So what happens? The principle being that the oblation, that yajna, when the yajna is done, so here what we said is that the gods become contented by seeing it. So naturally what happens? The gist of the karma phalas is that what we are oblating. So actually there is no physical consumption of anything there. Who are the devatas? The devatas are the dharmic me inside me, the antaratma of me is a devata. A devata is that who does only the dharmic way of living. It's a devata. Who doesn't have any adharmam in it. He does only dharmic way of thinking, dharmic way of executing, dharmic way of living, dharmic way of everything. So that dharmam in me will not accept anything other than dharmam from the oblation that has been done. That's called the devata. So devatas accepting the yajna, that's why in the yajna kunda we give only those things which are absolutely pure. We tried and purified it from the milk. If there are impurities by making it curd, if there are impurities in the milk, that has been removed. From the curd I churned it, taken the butter, impurities removed. And what is from the gist, no, sukshmata from that. From there the sukshma, from here the sukshma has been taken. Then melted. After melting, what is not necessary has been thrown out. So absolute sukshma from the milk, what I can derive the absolute sukshma from the milk is the ghee that has been taken out, and that I am oblating. Same way, I with my karmas executed, from that sukshmata to sukshmata to sukshmata that I have converted into me, and that absolute sukshmata, how did I do that? Through the jnanam. Here through the fire, Vaishwanara, here through the jnanam. Jnanam is Vaishwanaram. Vaishwanaram means that jnanam. In that jnanam, because of the jnanam, I split all my karmas into that. I created a result out of it and submitted to jnanam. Is called exhausting the karmas. Now here what happens? Neither somebody is cooking nor somebody is eating. The dharmic devata in me is by drishtva tripyante. By seeing it, he is enjoying it. Tripti. Tripyante means he has got the tripti in him. Tripti what? Satisfaction in him. Absolute that. See what happens? So in me, my atma, my antaratma, my atma will get absolute satisfaction. That means satisfaction is what? The synchronization of me with the mana, antakarna, atma, indriyas and all that. This tripti happens when this is done, when the yajna is done. So when my karma is exhausted and oblated, my antaratma, the devata in me, tripyante, tripti. So there is no eating. Is why devatas do not eat. They do not eat the rice as it is, but the gist of the rice is enjoyed by them. The taste of the rice is enjoyed by them. What does it mean? It's not that taking the rice taste from there and taking it. The true meaning, people talk about like that. The true meaning is nothing like that. True meaning is that me, after taking the annam, I know everything that has been used by me, executed my karmas dharmically, created the result, the gist of that, the sukshmata of that has been created by me, and that result of the totality of me, whatever I have done, has been done, the oblation to my jnanam inside me. For the purpose of what? Why did I oblate that to the jnanam? For the purpose of the growth of my jnanam, so that I can become the atma, not the mana and the indriyas. Is why devatas grow stronger by accepting the yajna, result of the yajna. In Puranas it is written, we are giving it to the devatas. Devatas will be sustaining only if you do the yajna. So we are supposed to do the yajna, then only the devatas will grow, then only the devatas will give rain. I have to grow the devata and the devata will give rain to me. See, there's a little complicated system, is it not? I am creating the devata and devata is obliging me by rain and by wind and by things like that. Is it something like that? The principle behind is that if I do the oblation of my karma, the Devata in me is developed, it becomes the Atma. So automatically what happens? That me will be in a position to control the Pancha Bhutas. What is rain and wind and all? Pancha Bhutas. So that Antaratma, which is the growing of the Devata, inside me that Devata has grown, I become a Devata. When I have become the Devata, that Devata, me, the Devata, will control the Panchabhutas of me. External Panchabhutas and internal Panchabhutas are same. I control the rain, I control the breeze, I control the earth, I control the Apa. Is what is called English. This is called Yajna Tapa. It is a Tapa. Is why he says here, Sahyeta Deva Rupam Abhivam She Abhi Vishanti Tasmat Rupa Dudyanti. The Rupa that I had gets disappeared in the Yajna. Rupam Abhisamvishanti gets disappeared in the Yajnam, in the Agni, in the Vaishwanara. The Rupa I had when I was executing my karma, creating milk and creating ghee, creating the Sushmata, creating all that, no, certain executing my karmas by learning the Jnanam, by understanding the Jnanam, by taking the Jnanam, by using the Jnanam. I have executed all these karmas through the Jnanam, dharmically, not adharmically, dharmically, and created that, and that gist of it, whom we will oblate, what we will oblate, and what thing we will oblate, what panchadrivyas we will oblate. We will only oblate those which are absolutely pure, is it not? When we are doing puja, will you keep rotten fruit and spoiled milk? Anyway, it is get spoiled, let us offer to the God. He will not drink it, is he? दही थोड़ा खराब हो गया भगवान को दे दो, नहीं है ना? We don't do that. अरे रे ऐसा नहीं. Even the leaf थोड़ा सा if it is torn, we keep all that banana leaf and all that. पत्ता भी अगर थोड़ा सा भी अगर थोड़ा सा, if it is there, नहीं, भगवान के लिए रखना है तो सही रखो. You have to keep that. See, what is that? You got that importance? That importance has to be there. The same importance has to be given to the Devata in me. Is no. You got my point? So when I execute my karma, when I execute my this, with the jnanam that who can do it? Only a jnani can do it. And a jnani will not do it. You know, you being a jnani, you are offering something to God, so I have to keep it keep clean. I should bathe myself. I should be clean. I have to offer the clean things. Absolutely right. Same way, you have to be clean. You have to offer the clean things to your Devata, dharmic living. Then only your Devata will grow. Same way the Devata grows, then only you get the prasadam. Yes. That Devata grows, same thing he says. So, etadeva rupam abhisamvishanti tasmad rupa dudyanti. That rupa of yours, which was creating all these things, has been oblated, has been given to Vaishwanara, given to the Yajnakunda, then disappeared in the Yajnakunda. Whatever you have created, that has been disappeared in the Yajnakunda, and you have risen up from the Yajnakunda. Means, I hope you understand that whatever was there, your karma phala, everything has been offered. Ultimately, a Devata in you has risen up. Where absolute dharma only is there, who will create the absolute synchronization, non-agitative status of the mind, indriyas and the sharira and mana, for whom this annam is no more necessary. Because from annam you have derived a result. A tapasvi, a jnani, a maharishi and tapasvi, who has oblated everything, for him the sharira and mana indriyas are no more there. It is there, but it will not function as functioning for us. It will not create any attraction and attachment and desire. Our indriyas and mana creates attachment, attraction and desire. Whereas his indriyas and mana will not create any attachment, attraction, desire, absolutely fused with the Antaratma. Even though physically mana and indriyas can be seen, they function as the Atma only. Pure Atma. Is why his Vani becomes absolute truth. Why? Because Atma is the truth. That which comes from the Atma is nothing but Upanishad and Veda, which is known as the truth. Is why whatever he says become truth. Whatever he does become truth. Why? Because he is the truth. That comes from him. He is called the Prakriti or the Purusha that comes from him. Is what? He has disappeared into him, and his Devata from him has appeared again back. He disappeared into the fire and appeared from that. He disappeared in the Yajna-kunda and the Devata came from there. What is the principle of Yajna? This is the principle of Yajna. The other things are physical formalities. If this is what should be understood by a great knowledgeable person. That's why this jnanam is required. And this jnanam has to be utilized as a yajna kunda in you. For what? For improving the jnanam. Who gets it? Fire gets it. Who burns big when the ghee is poured? Fire becomes big. So when I pour my karma phala into you, into me, I grow big. My Vaishwanara grows big. My jnanam grows big. Who grows now? I grow. Where? Where is the growth? Is the Sharira? No. Antaratma has grown. This is what the growth that I started with. The growth is to, the Vardhakyam is for the Jnanam. He is a Jnanavardhan. Who is a Jnanavardhan? He is Devata, Ishvara, God. That's all. From him only the Prakriti comes. From him only everything comes. This is what is the meaning of Rupam Abhivimshante, Rupam Udyante. The Rupa is gone, vanished in that. This is one line. The Rupa has vanished in that. The Rupa has come. How? This process starting from the cow, milk, ghee, pouring, karma phala, oblation, creating the Devata disappearing, Devata appearing. Just of it. Right? Got it? Principle is beautiful. And everything should be taken as shaken as medicine. Everything should be taken as medicine. So even the Jnanam, the Upanishad also, is taken as a medicine for the growth of my knowledge. That's why Upanishad is Jnanam. Jnanam of the Vedas, the gist of the Vedas. Upanishad is the Jnanam of Vedas. When I learned that Jnanam, then automatically the Aranyakam and the other Yajna-kunda, everything can be taken care of that. Is why this is very important. This is very important. This is important. This Jnanam has to be executed, absorbed. This doesn't, you don't understand it, you don't learn it, you don't copy it, you don't by heart it. As that's why I told you. Like the foam absorbing the water, you should absorb the Upanishad. Now what happens? When the foam absorbs the liquid, the foam becomes that liquid. Foam has no importance. The foam is full of that. And if suppose foam is put into the ink, the foam will be used, we will squeeze the foam only for taking the ink from that, not taking the foam from that. Correct? Same way, I should be absorbing the Jnanam, so when squeezes me, only Jnanam should come out. Right? Like that we have to absorb. We are not learning. Who will learn it? In a form, who will absorb? The whole form absorbs. The whole of me should absorb. Whole of me means my Antaratma, my mana, my Indriya, my Jnana, everything should absorb. Then only the churning process, the conversion from the milk to the ghee, the ghee to the butter to the ghee can take place. a portion of milk will not be converted into the curds. A portion of curd is not made into the butter. No, the whole butter churned, and the gist of the whole curd churned, whole curd buttermilk churned becomes the sukshmata. From that becomes the butter. From there, no more butter will come out. After churning, you got out all the butter. No more butter should come out from that. Is why the butter from that. Like that, from me also the same thing is how what he says. Etadeva rupam. So that rupam, akaram, with the vikara, vichara, and the karma phala, as a devata, I have derived that Shushmata in me. That rupa I have oblated, surrendered to the Punyahatma, surrendered to the Ishvara, surrendered to the Guru. So automatically what happens? From that surrendered me, the reappearance from that jnani. Suppose the disciple, after learning the jnana, having the jnanam, Upanishad and everything, he has done the upasana with the Guru only. You have seen that Upanishad Ganga, so you must have heard it. That when you sit in the upasana with the Guru, automatically what happens? You, with the jnanam, with other things, you have surrendered. So, and the Guru returns you back. Your rupam, you have surrendered. The Guru returns you the rupam of Udyante. Rupam of what? Rupam of jnanam to you. So you have surrendered your rupam in totality. He has given you the rupam. He has given you a rupam of jnanam, total jnanam. Which squeezes also, only jnanam will come out, nothing other than that. Is the principle of this particular shloka. Om Shanti Shambho Mahadeva. Bhagavane.